There's this ongoing meme in the gaming community. We've all seen it. Everyone who's a gamer on PC has definitely seen it. And it's a little portrait that says the victims of EA. As time progresses, more and more spaces are being filled. Even on my own Twitter account, I posted a picture of Patrick Schroeder or Sutherland, whatever the hell his name is, with the victims of EA at the time, and I wrote out, "The cold dead eyes of a killer," on the 21st of September 2017. And as if to be some sort of weird joke, EA kills Visceral Games. The long and sordid story of Visceral Games and EA is this. Somebody on my Twitter feed said, "What did they make? Dead Space 1 and 2 and that was it." Well, yeah, but you have to keep in mind that they made Dead Space 1. It was a good game. EA wanted changes for Dead Space 2. EA is continuously and habitually looking for IPs they could turn into the next sort of Call of Duty. And unfortunately, Dead Space is a survival horror game. It's never going to be a juggernaut game. Survival horror games aren't what they used to be like in the 90s, when Resident Evil and Resident Evil Director's Cut and Resident Evil 2 were like the kings of gaming on PlayStation. They were mind-blowing. That time is past. But there's still a market and group of people who desire these games. EA, unfortunately, is like the music industry, incestuous and vain, willing to devour anything it can to get as little nutrients as possible. Now, the Star Wars game that Visceral was working on also had Amy Hennig involved. She was the person who wrote the first 3 Uncharted games. And arguably, to a lot of people, the Uncharted games are amazing. I played the first one. It was alright. It didn't grab me that much, but I could see the appeal of the story. And God knows Star Wars needs a good story. We haven't had a good Star Wars story since Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. That's it. Everything else that's come after that has been garbage. Straight up movie, television, whatever. Knights of the Old Republic was the last pinnacle point, the last golden age of good Star Wars stories. So I was looking forward to this game. In fact, I have a strong feeling that this is a derivative of Star Wars 1313, which was shown back in 2012. If you remember, probably not, because most people can't remember shit past 2 years ago. But back in 2012, before Disney bought fucking Lucasfilms, they were working on an action-adventure game that was akin to Uncharted, and it was Star Wars 1313. It looked amazing. It looked interesting. It really looked like the first decent Star Wars game in a while. And best of all, the open world craze isn't what it is now. So a lot of people were stoked for it. Then in 2013, Disney bought Lucasfilms. This led to, unfortunately, Star Wars 1313 getting shit canned. But even before then, George Lucas wanted Star Wars 1313 to focus around the bounty hunter Boba Fett, which I wonder how they were retooling it. Were they going to make this unknown bounty hunter become Boba Fett? It could have possibly worked, considering nobody knows Boba Fett's fucking origin, even George goddamn Lucas. There are big hulking gaps in Boba Fett's history. So anyway, Disney buys it and cancels it. They also canceled the real Star Wars Battlefront 3. If you saw the early demos of Star Wars Battlefront 3, your jaw would drop. Everything they were doing in Star Wars Battlefront 3 is light years ahead of what we got with Battlefront 2 and modern day Frost engine. Yeah, it looks better with the Frostbite engine, the new Battlefront, but they had no level of game design that Pandemic was doing with that damn game. They literally had, like, I know I'm off subject, but stick with me here. They literally had, you could get into like a fighter jet, fight on a planet while other characters are fighting on the planet, and then go off into the atmosphere into a fucking space battle, dude. Like, holy shit. We don't have that in the new Battlefront. We have the, I'm not even, let's just stay on subject. So anyway, Star Wars 1313 gets canceled. They pull it back from the dead and they want to revamp it. Amy Hennig gets linked to it. It already looked like it was an Uncharted like ripoff, let's be honest. It was in that vein of action adventure, which was very popular at the time. No word was really about it for a while. We did get some early in-game footage screenshots. I've seen like 3 of the game that Visceral was working on. Now, Visceral Games has a sort of history of EA in the sense of Visceral Games EA didn't know what the fuck to do with them. EA just wanted them to make money, which is all EA cares about. And EA keeps putting Visceral through focus groups. Focus groups are the bane of the gaming industry right now. What was it? The last Call of Duty had a focus group of nothing but college frat boys to tell them what they thought the Call of Duty game should be. I don't know who the fuck they got for the focus group for this, but they were obviously idiots. Because Visceral Game is good at linear action-adventure story-based gameplay. This could have been a good sort of game you could play through, enjoy, maybe play again a second time if the story is really there. Unfortunately, EA and their fucking focus groups decided to take it in a different sort of direction. You know, the brilliance of these focus groups and the executive managements that fuel this sort of moronicism because they're chasing trends in a changing market. When you chase trends, you don't set them, you follow them. That's the huge mistake EA may never learn till the day EA runs out of money, which won't happen for a while. Now, let's be real here. Whatever game they're working on probably it's not going to be what we want it to be. It's not going to be this action-adventure, story-based game. If anything, it'll be turned into some sort of open-world collection bullshit, microtransaction garbage, and skin selling. Because let's face it, there's no way in hell you could have a loot box system in a single-player game that's not open-world. That's the thing. That's the rub they're probably going for. And of course, the one to deliver this news is the most soulless entity from EA. He's like the face of dead CEO, if you've ever seen it. Patrick Sutherland, or Sutherland. I don't know. The hell with it. Who cares to know his name, really? We all know what he looks like. The devil. Now that the game is being turned into something else, and the studio behind it, Visceral Games, has been destroyed, Patrick Sutherland said this: "To deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we need to pivot the design." I'm reading off of this journalist's take on it, just because I don't know where the fuck Patrick Sutherland's quote was. This is what Star Wars 1313 was evolving into. The basic soul and essence of the game was the same, but as far as we knew, we didn't know what the story was going to be, if it was still going to center around Boba Fett or the unknown bounty hunter whose exploits would have been quite interesting as a character that wasn't already sort of like the mainstream canon, that wasn't in movies or television shows. It would have given this character carte blanche and freedom to be whoever this character wanted to be, instead of what we would expect. There was a lot of freedom that could have been there, a lot of creativity, a lot of growth, a lot of narration and story could have evolved from this, and the power of the Star Wars IP alone would have given it enough interest for it to have a strong chance of being something people be interested in. But as always, the corporate overlords and their focus groups that wouldn't know a good idea if it came up bit them in the ass and they bought them out and ended their studio a year later tend to do, they destroyed it. Basically, what Sutherland's little message reads out to is we couldn't figure out how we were going to shoehorn microtransactions and needless grinding into the game to make sure that you'd spend money. So we killed it. And once again, another decent Star Wars game dies, and a long list of decent Star Wars games. If you care to know, feel free to Google and look it up, as I am not going to sit here and do it for you. I'm quite lazy, and I still feel fairly sick. Oh, there's more quotes from Sutherland. Please forgive me. I have to go to another news article because this one only gave me like 3 lines. In its current form, it is shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game, something Visceral Games is good at, long as EA isn't there to shoehorn microtransactions into it like the last Dead Space game. Good one, EA. Good idea. You fucking douchebags. Though the development process, we have been testing the game's concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come. We need to pivot the design. Basically what this reads out to, as I said before, we want to figure out how to make it open world, microtransactions, loot boxes. Lastly, he said, while we had originally expected the game to launch in late fiscal year of 2019, we're now looking at a new time frame that we will announce for the future. Now this was updated by Kotaku at 3:37 p.m., which was an email employees obtained by Kotaku. Sutherland offered more details in the Star Wars game, which was codenamed now Ragtag. And I quote, "A development team from across worldwide studios will take over development of Ragtag, led by EA Vancouver team that has also been working on the project. Steve Anthony will lead this team, and we will use much of the work that has been done to date by Visceral, and the assets of Ragtag that have already been built will become the foundation of this new game. It's safe to presume that the new incarnation of Star Wars will involve a game-as-served elements, as it has been the mandate for EA for some time now. I am completely and utterly unclear as to what the hell is game-as-served. Also, much of the speculation that's been going on in the community because of the way this was written and worded leads many people to presume that it will no longer be an Uncharted action-based style game, heavy on story, more a Destiny style run around shoot shit game. If EA's that fucking who the hell am I keying this? EA, of course they're that stupid. Fuck this, it's over, forget it. Another piece of shit that they'll churn out, hoping to make as much money as possible before they lose the video game exclusivity deal with Disney. And once again, EA's just killed another Star Wars game I was interested in. They can't seem to stop killing anything decent or killing decent studios, trying to restructure them and strip them of all the meat until there's nothing left but bones. And me with a loud doggy. And on that note, I'm gonna get the hell out of here because, let's face it, all you hear is squeaky toys in the background. I can't actually give more of a shit than me in this ever-growing age of apathy. But I will say that if you're willing to subscribe to me and follow me on all of the social media platforms, it only makes my voice louder, my agenda more prominent, and less likely to be ignored by those who are in control of the gaming industry and continuously fucking it. And unlike most of my contemporaries in the video game world, I can't be bought. And also, I realize my shit stinks. Believe me. I took a crap like 2 weeks ago. A kitten came in, smelled the shit I took, and it immediately vomited. So it's obvious my shit stinks. And on that note, I should get the hell out of here. Adios, muchachos.